Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Contact Lost, part of our Road to LGT 2024. And today I've got two guests lined up. So first up, we've got Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
How you doing? You all right? You good?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. And we've got Liam. Hello.
Hello.
Right, so we're continuing with our theme of national champions or hopes of the nation for the Invitational mainly, but also trying to create a story arc for the main event as well. So Kyle here representing England of sorts, and Liam from Belgium. Before we jump into the conversation itself, a massive thank you to our sponsors, Weyland-Yutani and the Army Painter, as well as our Patreons, YouTube members, and all other sympathizers of the show. Right, so Kyle, you're currently number one ITC rank, and that is in general ITC, UKTC. I'm not really sure of the differences between the two. I think because of Zach, ITC is almost UKTC essentially, right? These years. So anyway, there's still one final massive event to top the LGT rankings, the UKTC rankings, the LGT. So how are you feeling? Do you feel pressure going into the event? Are you confident you can keep the number one spot, or a little bit afraid that you might get knocked off at the final hurdle?
So I think it's important to state that the rankings are just numbers at the end of the day. The algorithm nobody really fully understands. It just tends to be the more events you go to, the larger the events, you get the points. So it's in no way, shape, or form. It's a good achievement, don't get me wrong, and it's something I'm very proud of, but it's not something that I'm primarily focused on because I think a lot of the years of playing 40k, anybody has the skill to take anyone off the top podium or, present a challenge to people. So I am obviously going to uphold the status and do my best in the skill and the army that I choose. I've chosen to play for many, many years. But LGT is going to be one hell of a field. We're going to have a lot more international players coming over. I mean, look at what Liam did last year. Just came in and was like, bosh, bosh, bosh. Thank you very much. I'll take the trophy. So I'm really excited to be challenged by top players from all around the world. Something to note about the ITC versus the UKTC. So obviously ITC, yes, I am currently in the podium spot at number one. But for UKTC, I'm third. Nassim and then Josh, because the War Masters don't count because it's not in the UK. So if I beat Nassim and Josh, then yes, I'm in the chance to win the UKTC. But if I know Nassim and I know Josh, they're going to want to say something about that. So yeah, I'm going to give everything I got, and I'm looking forward to a really good event. And it's looking like it could potentially beat the size of LVO last year. I think Zach posted something about 7, 8, 9, or 8, basically 16 players off 910 or 911, which would beat LVO, which is a big achievement in itself. So really looking forward to it, and let's see how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, we'll see when Zach does his next checkup in terms of tickets sold. Liam, you've won the event last year, so again, or a similar question: do you feel any pressure that you have to defend the title, or is it like, okay, I'll just go in, play my game, be everyone like I always do? Screw it.
No, I tend to lose often, don't worry. But pressure, I will not say so. Obviously, I would like to take the trophy again. I'm not gonna lie, but I play now for enough time that like you win or lose event, like it happened, right? Like I'm not pressuring, like I'm not putting pressure on me. It's just fun, right? I just enjoy playing, and so it's gonna be cool. Like obviously, I would like to not lose, but it's fine.
Okay, and what's your motivation to attend the LGT? Is it this year? Is it like trying to defend the title? You feel somewhat obliged, or is it's a big event? But you've also done some other UKTC events. So, what's your reasoning to attend these?
I mean, so basically, we go with a bunch of French guys, like every year now. It's the third year they're doing that. So we're gonna have like a big Airbnb with like all the French and Nassim, because Nassim decided last year that he rather like crush at our Airbnb than doing the 1 hour he had to do every day to go to LGT from his home. So he just arrived and decided, okay, I'm gonna sleep on the couch now. So I mean, this time we planned, so we took a bigger Airbnb to have a place for Nassim, but it's gonna be a whole fun overall. So yeah, it's like it's the biggest event I can attend for like not that expensive, and yeah, so I'm going like, and I like to do some event in every country a bit like around me, so like Germany, France, and the UK obviously. So like yeah.
It makes sense that the French are going to come over and with a massive contingent after just winning the WTC. They're just going to come over to the UK and be like, "Yeah, we'll take this trophy too."
I mean, technically they did 2 years ago, right? So
I know. But
and
and Nassim is just like the hyperactive dog child of 40k. He just jumps around everywhere and he's everywhere.
I mean, he's also technically French, so
Technically,
Yeah, maybe he's trying to switch nationalities at last.
Yeah, I think it was a joke. He was like, "Yeah, I'll be a coach. I'll be the French. I'll join the French team. No problem."
Right, and Kyle, what about you? So in the UK, you have like, I don't know, probably 5 GTs each weekend right now. So
Yeah, just there's probably one every weekend. I think the motivation to do the events is obviously centered around my business that I do. And obviously, I live and breathe 40k. I'm in a luxurious position to be able to do this for a living. I don't know how that happened, but 5 years ago, I'd have laughed at the prospect of doing 40k for a living. But I think the reason I do all of the events, as many as I can, is to be challenged. I love the competitive spirit of the game. I love meeting players from around the world and also seeing people play differently or come up with whether it be new list concepts or an approach to the game. And that for me is like an addiction because it keeps that creative spirit alive within the game. It keeps you challenged and motivated. And I think that caliber event that we now take for granted in the UK, with Zach having many super majors in pretty much every city as a staple, really kind of helps keep you on your toes and keep you connected to a forever changing and evolving meta. So I do the events because I love going to these competitive events and meeting a lot of friends and communities and meeting new people. Like Liam said before, I also want to go to different events across the world to expose myself to better generals or to be challenged. So I think at the forefront of that, it's yes, there's a community aspect to it, but if we were to put our competitive hats on, every good player wants to be beaten by a better general or pair up against them to learn something new about the game, or at least discover new things that maybe you're a bit stale because you play the same people over and over and over again, and you want to improve and perform better than you ever have done in the past. And to hold on to say titles, it's irrelevant. As long as we're being challenged and improving, then the game's just going to be more enjoyable for me. And I don't know how Liam feels about that, but a lot of top players that I talk to, echo the same statement.
and I've got a follow-up to what you just said. So looking at the scene in the UK, do you see a lot of new faces at the super majors and other big events, or is it, like you said, a bit of a stalemate in terms of who you end up playing?
We do obviously have the same players that you will need no introduction for. The Nassim, the Vic VJ, the David Gaylord, myself, lots of other top players to name, Ben Jones, so on and so forth. But we're actually seeing a lot more, newer players come onto the scene that nobody's heard of, that just suddenly, hello, I'm in the top cut. And like we had a Necron player that won, I can't remember which major it was, but I'd never heard of the guy, but he clearly learned how to use the army, skilled enough at the game, and was able to take these top players off podiums. And I think a new generation of players are filtering into the scene, which is always good to just genuinely, like I said before, be challenged. And, if you look at some of the names that have come into the scene over the last couple of years, you had like Matt Laura from Vanguard Tactics, who played Magic the Gathering, just, second at LVO for his first big event and then won the LVO the following year. So I think we're starting to see a little bit of a trend of that in the UK at the moment. And hopefully it continues that way, because it's always good to get fresh perspective on the game and newer players coming in and challenging those veterans, if you will.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was just curious if the community is like visibly growing, because you can definitely get a sense of Warhammer being more and more popular each year. We're having these conversations. And yeah, I was just curious if like you could see on the ground as well.
Yeah, the events are growing in size. Obviously, the ones in the UK that are noticeably different in quantity. I wouldn't necessarily say all the time quality, but Nottingham is a good one. Coventry, and then you got like the Manchester. Outside of obviously LGT, these are the three ones that tend to be quite big in the amount of players that will come to these events. And we're starting to see a lot of people coming over from overseas, whether that be USA, whether that be generally Europe. So it's good to see it grow from not just a numbers perspective, but just different caliber players coming over from overseas.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, 100%. Liam, I'm going to ask you the same question, but from a different perspective, one that I've already asked you today. So playing in continental Europe, you do a lot of team events, right? So what's your motivation to go to a singles event where, things can just be totally random and you end up playing or end up in a matchup that you, on paper, have no chance looking at faction to faction?
I mean, so yeah, first I'm obviously, so I'm gonna focus a lot on team, so I don't know. It's probably gonna be like my single event in like 6 months or so. So first of all, like I think playing team, you need to be also a good single player. Like there is no because like you need to sometime in team to have the mentality to like win through the odd, So like being good in single translate pretty good on a lot of aspects in being good in teams. But obviously, at the end of the day, just what I like is playing 40k. So like playing single or team, it's kind of fine. And like the team experience and the single experience is a bit different in the social aspect, I would say, because like when you play team, obviously you focus a lot on your team. So when you're done with your game, you stay on your row, you check your teammate a lot. Where you play single, you can afford to like, okay, I finish in like summertime, 2 hours or so. Now I'm going to spend an hour and a half moving across the row, looking at like friends or other players. So it allows you to maybe meet new people, where team you stay more in group, I would say. So
yeah, but at the same time, you're not like living their game as well, because it doesn't directly affect you, right? So it's a little bit different than playing in a team.
yeah, you're not living, you're not putting your life in the game of your teammate. I mean, when you watch your teammate playing, you have a part of yourself in it, especially when you did the pairing or stuff like that. But also, it's just interesting for experience to watch player are good, play maybe like you didn't expect or so like this. And also like in single, people are much more open to like, and you also like, you can go ask maybe, they're not a lot more open, but you can go say, oh yeah, and talk about their game a lot. So it's pretty interesting too, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and yeah, go on. Do you want to?
But I would say that like at the end of the day, I would emphasize the fact that playing team or single at the end, playing 40k, so it's fine.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that as well, we're a bit behind when in terms of teams, because obviously it's predominantly singles events in the UK. I know we've got some team tournaments like Battle of Britain and various things we'll go to, international ones, but I think there's been a big spike in the international teams tournament with Zach puts on and other events as well. And I definitely echo what Liam said. At the end of the day, it's 40k, we enjoy it, but with mates and as a team spirit, it's just a different different ball game, and it adds so much more, and it brings people together more as well, because at the end of the day, you can just talk, you can talk matchups, you can prep together, you're in it together. It's not just, oh, I play whoever it's going to be on round 1, round 4, round 5, doesn't matter. With teams, it's you live and breathe it. Even when you're out drinking or meals or whatever it is, you're living and breathing everything. And I think that's something that I would honestly 100% recommend to anyone. Teams is the way forward.
It definitely is. But we're not talking about teams today. We're talking about singles. So, Kyle, how do you stay motivated to play a single faction, regardless of like the meta changes? What's your secret sauce?
Well, I played Tau for 25 years and discovered that I probably am on the spectrum because I've stuck to the faction for 25 years. And I think for me, it's just that we each have that army that we just love, whether it's from a tactical perspective or the models, whatever it is. And for me, I stay motivated for really 2 reasons. One, I am a creature of habit, and I'm a product of my own success in terms of I'm known as the one guy who plays Tau. He's played it for so long. I am a specialist, and that comes with a great sense of pride because I do love the faction. I've never dropped them when they're maybe not meta or they're struggling. I enjoy armies that actually are an underdog or can challenge me and really pull my skill set to the forefront of the game and understanding the fundamentals and problem solving. So sometimes Tau can be good, sometimes it can be trash. It's irrelevant. It just emphasizes on my ability to solve problems in front of me and actually still play the game, but obviously with a core understanding of how this faction works. And the other thing that motivates me, and I know it sounds corny and cheesy, but it is the community that I built around Tau and that name that I have created for myself with just playing the faction for so long. And I think the game in itself right now is way more balanced than it ever has been. And there is hope that people that do just want to play one faction can actually compete at the highest levels, no matter who chooses what meta army. There are still solutions to the game. And that comes with the changes of the balanced data slates that we're now experiencing more frequently, the core changes to the game. And that just allows us to play the game fundamentally rather than just everybody jump on the most broken faction. So I think now is the time where faction specialists can prevail against all odds better than the past. So for me, I stay motivated because 1, my love of the game, 2, the community around me, and 3, I just absolutely love 40k. And regardless, I love my faction. I will play it to death.
Okay, well, wow. That's all I can say. I don't know. I like to play at least one game with something different every now and again. So yeah, kudos to you for sticking to one faction, regardless of how good it is. I mean, now, like you said, is as good a moment as any to play any faction. Like, I 100% agree with that. Liam, what about you? How do you go about picking a faction for a singles event? So do you focus like purely on your play style, or maybe you look at what counters the meta, or rather what is the meta and how you can exploit it or push it to the limits?
So I would say that in the past, I was a lot by, like, I would say instinct and feeling. Like I would take a faction and play no matter what. But generally, what I like is when there is like big change or like before the event, so we can like a bit like experience stuff and be creative a bit more. Right now, it's
experiment,
not.
and when the meta isn't set, it's like,
Yeah.
what
No,
is actually good? Yeah.
no, the meta is set, so it's a bit harder for me to find a faction. I'm not gonna lie, but obviously, I'm generally still gonna stay in like my core faction, which are basically like Chaos Space Marine and like the variant of Chaos Space Marine, Tisson Death Guard, and stuff like that, and basically Eldari. So I'm staying around that for single at least, and I'm just testing. This year, I'm using maybe I would say I'm like having a more calculate. Like I did some matrix about deciding what to go because I'm so undecided between like 4 factions. But like you said, the meta is so balanced that I could play anything. So it's a bit hard to find. So I'm basically playing a bit like everything, but between 4 factions, and decided which one is my playstyle the most, which one I like the most. But yeah.
Okay, so when you've mentioned you've built a matrix, what are the criteria you're looking at? Are there any data points that maybe we
Basically,
could use to prepare, or it's based on feeling?
it's not like the matrix is not real team, because like it's not on a 20. It's more like unplayable matchup, playable matchup, like favorable matchup, and matchup where there is a game and it's gonna go on the table. And like right now, I would say I would rather have like a weaker faction overall, but have like a game in every faction, so that have option. That like something I feel have better matchup into like the top of the meta, but sometimes you just not have a game, have less option. So yeah, I'm like pretty, and it's also like right now you cannot play everything with every faction, so it's a lot by feeling and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah, I
like
get that. I mean, at this point, you don't going to a singles event, you don't have to smash every game, right? Just 1 point
I mean,
matters. 1 point different.
overall, generally my strategy is to go big smash anyway, because I don't like taking the risk of, because if you try to win by 1 point, you also take the risk by losing by 1 point.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, overall, I would agree with what you say.
Kyle, I think you wanted to add something. You looked like you were opening your mouth there.
It's the same thing like with Liam. It's like analyzing the meta. It's enjoyable, but also tiring at the same time because you can't tech for everything. And I always look at like what's the trend at the moment with the meta. What choices do I need to make within my list building? And like Liam, like I love it when it's chaotic, when nobody knows, and it's just like brilliant. We're all going to go in experimental, and what happens. When it becomes stale, it's a little bit like we know we need to tech for example, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, T-Suns, whatever it is, and then when a balanced data slate comes out and changes all that, it makes it a fairer kind of like anyone's game. So. But then again, you'll have somebody turn up with like 100 AdMech bodies, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't plan for this. Oh, I've been paired into this." So it's for me, it's like when it comes to like list building and prepping for such a big event, it's all boils down to your understanding of the meta, the choices that you make, but also getting the reps in with how you plan to tackle it. But you can't factor in everything, so there's always going to be that curveball that could potentially be thrown your way. And with such a large event like LGT, it could be any one of us going against the unwinnable matchup, like Liam said.
Yeah, and also me, I would like to say that I'm a bit of a like I would say like ego player in the way that I don't like playing lists that I know are top meta but I didn't build. So I always like to create my list. So when the meta is so stable, it's actually harder to do that because obviously like all the good lists have been found and I'm there. Oh yeah, so I have to make sure that but it's fine.
Mm-hmm. I just want to take my Kroot again. I just want to take combat Kroot everywhere. I just want to be that guy.
Combat Tao, let's go.
Combat Tao, just in 18 rampages, and people are like, "What are you doing? What is this?" I'm like, "Combat Tao."
Maybe that's what you should do.
Well, if the balance data slate comes out and Kroot gets some adjustments, maybe we don't know.
Yeah.
You just have to go wild right now. Like let's sneak into the 100 AdMech bodies you mentioned and see how it does.
Because right now it's not that far from LGT, so if a data slate is coming before LGT, that's gonna be fucking wild.
I know,
that's gonna be like going to LGT with like a week of new data, like like
it'll be like WTC all over again, just the big change, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
But for WTC you had like 3 weeks, so we are taking like not like imagine like. So I think the list submission is like the Saturday or the Sunday or whatever.
22nd. It's the Sunday before. I think it's the 22nd.
And I think the generally data set around Thursday. So imagine like Thursday 19 or I don't know. You get a data set. You have 4 days to find a list. That's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be so much fun.
So that would be so fucking wild, but it would be cool, I guess.
I agree.
It would be. I would be all for it though, especially since I'm not playing, so I could just watch the chaos unfold.
Watch the chaos unfold.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Right. So, Kyle, have you got any specific ambitions in terms of where you finish, both in the Invitational and the main event?
Expectations, no. I mean, I know it's a boring answer, and I know viewers are like, "Yeah, come on, bring it on, give us expectations." But I genuinely just do not focus and do not care about setting expectations for rankings, because what I find that it does is it puts too much pressure on yourself, and all I want to focus on is being consistent and playing my game, not my opponent's game, my game at the best of my ability. And if my best of my ability gets me to a good position, then I know that I've done a good job. And there's lots of factors included. There's luck for a start. We cannot orchestrate luck. It happens or it doesn't. All you can do is plan. You can practice your skill set or make a crazy list that no one expects. All that's within your control. But at the end of the day, when you get to that event, there's other factors that can go against you or go for you. So for me, I just want to be consistent. I want to represent my brand and also my faction at the top tier. And I want to play some fantastic games against some top players. That's my expectation. And obviously, I don't want Innis or anyone to kind of try and beat me. So, yeah, okay, there's a bit of smack talk for you. Innis, no chance. I'm coming for you.
I was going to say it is a boring answer, but you pulled up. You saved it at the last moment. Liam, what about you? Any expectations, ambitions, or just...
I mean, expectation, no. Ambition, I guess, yes, because I won last time, so I'm gonna try to win it again, obviously. But obviously, I mean, I know what it is. So basically, what I'm gonna basically do is I want to try to win every single game. So it's gonna be one by one, a step at a time. Especially now that I'm doing the invitational, it's gonna be fucking long. So I will need to focus for every game one at a time. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. It is a bit of a marathon with the Invitational. You're playing potentially
it's maybe a
like
mistake.
13 rounds.
Yeah, I was about to say, we put ourselves in that position, Liam.
It's maybe a mistake, but I guess you need to try it once at least. So,
Yeah.
we'll
I mean,
see
you
how-
love playing 40k, right? So what can go wrong?
Yeah, so I'm training myself. I just went to a GT in following by a team. I did 14 game in 4 days. So I'm ready.
Yeah, should be easy in that case. The
Yeah.
physical aspect is prepared. Right, and so actually, guys, how are you feeling about this many games? And are you doing any special prep? Like Liam, you've obviously just said that you've attended a similar event with a similar volume of games across the similar amount of days. What about you, Kyle?
So outside of the constant tournaments I go to, I'm actually taking a break this month. I've said to myself, no, I can sit down, craft lists, and just have a couple of games on TTS, versus top players. Yeah, I can get a couple of reps in that way. But I generally want to feel fresh and ready for such a marathon. And I also want to decide on a list that I actually want to take, whether it's because I'm playing so many games, do I go with a particular detachment that I've just got all the reps in, all the practice and can do with my eyes closed? Or do I want to take a detachment that maybe I've not experimented with to get me out of my kind of, repetition, if you will, and challenge me and actually maybe bring in some results that maybe are better than what I would if I just played the same old, same old. So I'm kind of very focused on the creative aspect running up to the event and then saving all of my goddamn energy for 36 hours of solid 40k potentially, probably more. So yeah, I think definitely that side of things for me is just all about just slowing down, prepping for it, but not overdoing it, because I've got enough events that I've been to over the last month or so that the repetition will speak for itself.
Okay, so are you like feeling confident enough just crafting lists and ideas? Like you said, is the backlog of reps giving you enough confidence that what you craft now will actually sit quite well into the meta that will be at the event?
I will blow my own trumpet and be like, if there's a good Tau list or any Tau list, I'll make it work. Like whether it's crew, I don't mind. I played the faction for 25 years, right? If I don't make a good list, what the hell am I doing? And I think I've got enough practice in there. But I am very confident in terms of what list I need to build to tackle the meta. But like me and Liam were just laughing about, we love chaos, and I want the meta to change so that it's instinct. It's go with something fun. Everybody's going to be experimenting, and it's going to be a wild, wild west of 40k. That is more fun to me. So some people might be like, I'm terrified of it because I want to do this list that I've been running every event and smashing face with. Whereas I'm like, nah, I want everybody to be like, huh? What's going to happen? I want that. That's what I want, and that'll make it more exciting. I don't know, having an army of Gretchen or whatever somebody concocts, Liam bringing cultists whatever it may be, me bringing crew, that could be crazy.
So I'm gonna create a fake account and go into your socials and say, play 18 rampages or you're a pussy.
Oh, trust me, it's already on the cards. And one thing I know about 40k players is that we've got lists for days. We sit and live and breathe and create lists and create lists and create lists. The amount of lists that I've seen from Nassim, it's just crazy.
And then the worst part is there is only like 100 points that change in every list. And when you read there, you have to like, oh, what's the difference?
But Nassim, you've still got 18 Bulgrin. Yeah, but I've got you've still got 18 Bulgrin, right? Stop chatting crap, right? It's still going to include 18 Bulgrin.
Yeah, I mean, like I went to my event last weekend in bus, so I was like 8 hours into the bus. I think I was just crafting lists to make the time goes. So I have like 5 different lists in 4 different factions, and I'm always like debating which one to go. And the worst part is I want to test them all, but I don't have the time to.
Yeah.
Like it was too.
Right. But Liam, did you also take a bit of a break? I mean, after the WTC. Oh, okay.
So,
By your reaction, I judge it's back to the grind right away.
So I did. Some guys wanted to send me in rehab because like the day after the WTC, I was already looking for game. But actually, no, it's not now my break because I'm starting my master after LGT basically. So after it, I'm gonna have like a 3 months break against like in February. I'm just gonna do some chill event around. But no, right now it's the full grind. Like think I'm going. So I'm going. I went to Germany last weekend. In 2 weeks, I go to the US, and then I go to London the week just after that. So like it's the full tournament period. I'm gonna do fucking a lot of game. So like no, it's the opposite. I'm like the full grind mode before going to sleep after LGT for 3 months, basically.
Hibernation.
You go hibernation mode.
Yeah.
I mean, after WTC, did the War Masters, then coached the England, and then literally got back and went straight to the lead super major. I was like, what am I doing? I was falling asleep and like ended up being in the semi-finals with Jack Titan. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I just want to sleep. Too much Warhammer.
Yeah.
A victim of your own success. First world problems.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I'm young, so like I just sleep one night and I'm fully recovered. So that's good for me, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Good for you. Right. I think we're going to slowly wrap up. But have you guys got any general tips maybe you can share to anyone else attending the LGT, given you've already done the event and you've played lots of events with great results? Is there anything you might want to pass on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a huge fan of preparing, and that can take many forms. I've always had great success with just planning things like, your deployments, your overall game plan, and you can use TTS. It's available to us. You can look at the maps and think about, how does that influence your list? What plans do you have regarding the missions that you're playing? You've got all the information in front of you, so just put a bit of effort in beforehand, and at least going in there with a solid plan of these are the things I'm going to do around my game plan, and then figure out everything else when you get there. Obviously, it's a huge event, and I don't want to sound like anyone's dad, but your fatigue will kick in, the excitement of the whole event will. So just plan for that as well. And the best advice I always give is just don't really concern yourself with like numbers or I want to do this. I want to go 4-1 or I want to go 5-0, because just focus on your behaviors and the results will look after themselves. It's as simple as that. And you'll have way more fun as well, rather than sweating, thinking, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that. So my advice is just, plan beforehand and make sure that you're not just planning for the games, you're planning on your own well-being throughout the event. And enjoy every moment and get to know the people in front of you, because you're spending 3 goddamn hours with a person, and you want to at least get to know them and actually have meet people that you don't usually have access to, whether they be Liam coming over from overseas or whatever it is, or Anthony Vanella coming over from USA. If you end up playing them, enjoy the time you have with these people.
Yeah, Liam, want to add anything on that?
Oh yeah, I would say the main thing, just have fun. Like, don't put too pressure. Like, don't say like try to like go drink beer with friends in the evening, stuff like that. I mean, not necessarily beer, I guess. Can go drink anything, go eat good food in restaurant. Like, just enjoy that as well. I think it's like the main part, because at the end of the day, like, you can win or lose a game. I would say it doesn't matter, right? Because like it's life. You're gonna win and lose game. That happen. Don't like Kyle said, don't put too much pressure on the result, on the number. Just have fun, I would say. And obviously, like, all the preparation and stuff is good advice on, like, I'm doing it too, like some training game on the matchup, some matchup analyzing the table, stuff like that, obviously. But the main thing is just have fun, I think.
Yeah, speaking of which, now that you guys have both actually mentioned it, that reminds me, and Liam, I wanted to ask you this question more, because the UKTC maps have changed. Have you had a look, and what do you think of them?
Yeah, I did have a look at them. Honestly, I tend to...
No more pew pew.
I mean, is it? Is it
No,
more pew-pew?
it's still pew pew. You can see
Like,
from one board edge to the other.
The other border. So what happened is basically you can stage, but when you need to go, when you want to go in, you're getting C by the whole table. It's basically the idea. So it's a bit different than you do BTC, where you can get C a bit all the time, but never through the whole table. So you can decide to create a bit the game. So the gameplay overall is a lot different. And between that and the 1-inch rule that you don't have in the BTC, that create a lot more, I would say, stalemate matchup where you're a bit more waiting. So it's actually like a bit harder for me, where I like to create play, and I will always try to create play even if it's not correct. So I would say the map. I mean, generally, I don't care. So like the map are the map, and you try to affiliate. Like, you try to, like, they're a component of the game. You try to like change your gameplay based on the map a bit, but like, yeah, like, it's a variance of the game, and I don't know if I like or hate them. It's a change. I played a lot of WTC before WTC map terrain, so I'm happy to have a bit of a break and change from map.
Okay, sure. And yeah, so that 1-inch rule, when playing test games, do you get caught? Do you catch yourself on that, playing it wrong often, or it's like a natural switch from WTC to UKTC rulings?
I mean, it needed. I did need some game where, generally I was just going on the edge of the ruin and getting charged, or actually you can be 1 point and like block, but after some game you get used to, and then you decide to, okay, I'm gonna block the wall and get used to. And I mean, I'm not. The meta is so stalemate that okay, you use it and it's fine. But yeah,
Okay.
I think from the opposite end, from a predominantly shooting army, when the pack first came out and they had those two little rectangles put together, I was like, oh crap, that is one hell of a staging point for combat armies. But then you just go, some dudes lining the entire wall, you now
yeah,
have to go away around. Or I place one dude on the top or something on the top and you can't go whatever it is, you can easily combat around it by just lining the wall. But when I played on WTC, it was like reverse it, let them in. Let them in so that they're on the inside of the wall, so then you can shoot your guns better at that said target. So you have to force the trading thing. So either way, it has its ups and its downside. So personally, I don't like the whole 1 inch away from the wall, and I also don't like the 3 inch things. So it's like the barricades. So I don't know what solution would be there, but either way, it's just something you adapt to, like Liam said. You don't care, you just play as it is, and you come up with your battle plan around it.
exactly.
Okay. Right. Thank you guys very much for coming in. It was nice to have a chat with you. To our listeners, if you like what we do, please make sure you like, subscribe, and all of that jazz. Consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member, because then you're getting the thank yous at the beginning and at the end of the episode, and other perks as well. So thank you to those who already are patrons and YouTube members, as well as our sponsors, Weyland-Yutani and the Army Painter. And a final thank you to Kyle and Liam for joining us for the interview today.
Thank you to you for
Thank you.
having
Yeah,
us.
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure's all mine always. We'll see you guys in London, and also make sure you people check out Contact Lost during the LGT. We'll be there. We'll be doing stuff, making content, and having fun, and following these guys and their games. For now, though, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.